Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After our first steps into the world of dreams via Lucidity Six-Sided Nightmares last week, we're going to venture to the gridiron for the very first time as we play Glory Days Pro Football from Sideline Strategy Games. Just like the name suggests, it's a football simulator. Today we've got a matchup from the 1985 season lined up. With that, let's go through our teams. Tonight we've got the Green Bay Packers as our visiting team that are going to be playing. They finished 8-8 in 1985, didn't make the playoffs. I was just looking that up. A lot of this is gibberish, but it'll make more sense as we get into the game. Mostly we've got the players here for the plays in question, but again, we'll go through all of that when the time comes for it. But that's it for our visiting team. Now let's go meet our home team. The 1985 Packers have a very unenviable task tonight, as they're being charged with heading into Chicago to play the Chicago Bears, who finished 15-1 and won the Super Bowl in rather dominant fashion in 1985. One thing we didn't really talk about was the traits. So the Packers didn't have a trait on them. The Bears, however, have the miserly trait on a 1-13. So we roll for that at the start of the game, it looks like? Yes. So it looks like we roll for that at the start of the game. On a 1-13, what miserly means is all big plays rolled on the drive chart will become stops, and we roll for yards on the punt or kick column to see how far they go there. Anyway, that's it for our home team. The crowd at Soldier Field is waiting, so let's move over to the main game area. I'm just checking out the shop here just to make sure everything looks good. We've had this football game mat for a while, but we've never had a chance to use it. So this will be our first ever time using the football mat. Green Bay will be defending this goal line. Chicago will be defending this one. We've got a lot of stats here and stuff for second season football, which we're not playing. I'm mostly using it for the yard markers. But I think everything's all set. Soldier Field is excited and ready for this one, so let's get down to the field for the coin toss. The way we're going to resolve the coin toss is we've got 3d6. We'll see these two d6 again. The black dice for Chicago, the green dice for Green Bay. The red die we're only going to see on the coin toss. That'll represent the decision of the winning team, which is the one that'll have the high roll. Odds the winning team will defer. Evens, they'll take the ball first. Let me make a note of that in my log. I've got a log I'm keeping off channel, or off camera. So let's go ahead and resolve the coin toss. Chicago easily wins the coin toss, and they will defer, so they'll take the ball first. So Chicago wins the coin toss, and they'll defer, which means they'll take the ball in the second half. I'm just making more notes here. I'm mostly doing this so I can make sure I don't lose the play. So kickoff for Chicago. Before we do that, we do need to roll a d20 to see if Chicago's miserly trait will trigger. It will trigger on a 1-13. And that's an 11, so Chicago's miserly trait will trigger, which means anytime Green Bay rolls a big play on the drive, on the drive chart, they become stops. So they'll be punting or kicking at that point. I'll just make a note of that here. Miserly active. This is probably going to be a long day for Green Bay. So we've got everything all set here. Chicago will be kicking off from the 30. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the kickoff. The way we'll resolve plays on that is we've got 5d6. We've got 5 dice. We've got 2d10s, a black die and a white die. Again, we saw the colored dice earlier and a d20, which we'll be using for various checks, mostly for penalties if the 2d6s end up being doubles, as each team has a range on that. I'll explain how each die works as we get into the game. So, Chicago's all set for the kickoff. They're a C on kickoff, so let's see how they kick off. We'll be using the d10s for that. Alright, so right off the bat we have no penalty. Chicago's a C on kickoff with a 0, so Chicago will be kicking that. C0, that's actually going to be a touchback for Chicago. Now we have a drive check for Green Bay. Each team will have 10 drives throughout the course of the game, 5 per quarter. Since Green Bay received the opening kickoff, they'll take it at the 20. Their number of drives will go down to 9, and then we'll roll for the drive result. Green Bay is a drive offense of 7. Chicago's a drive defense of 11. So we'll be subtracting the drive defense from the drive offense for each team. In Green Bay's case, they'll be rolling on a -4. So we'll use the 2d10s for the result on the drive chart, which I've got off camera here. So the 2d10s will be for the drive chart. The d20 will determine the yardage based on the situation, and then depending on if they get a drive going, we'll use the d10 or the 2d6 total of that based on Chicago's drive defense of 11 for the situation Green Bay is currently in. So we're in quarter 1, and we're making Green Bay's first drive check of the game. Green Bay, given that they're a drive offense of 11 minus a drive defense for Chicago their drive offense of 7 minus Chicago's drive defense of 11. So they're rolling on this chart, and the difference for them is -4, which is not good for them at all. Meaning on a 0 to 42, Green Bay will have to punt the ball away. So let's see what happens here with Green Bay's roll. Also on a big play, they'd be punting the ball away. So on a 0 to 42 or a 79 to 83, Green Bay will have to punt the ball away. That's a 71, so Green Bay will get a drive out of that. Okay, then based on the d20 of a 17, drive 9 plays for 45 yards, so they're 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a roll of a 6 with a drive defense of 11. Green Bay's already looking at 2nd and 10, so we're coming in at the Chicago 35 on 2nd and 10. So now we're going to roll the 2d6, all 5 dice again, and we'll determine the play. First thing we do is check the 2d6. There are no penalties on the play. So on 2nd and 10, that's a roll of a 3. So 2nd down, Green Bay will be attempting, let me grab my chart here. So this is quarter 1, 2nd and 10. Green Bay at the Chicago, what did we say, 35. So they're looking for a run to Clark. Actually, run Clark. Okay, then we check the dice for the results on trench control. On a run offense, Green Bay with a 6 has no trench control. Run defense is a 1-star, so Chicago will actually win trench control there. Their black die of a 6 means on run defense, that's going to get stuffed. And then for Green Bay with an 8 on the stuff chart, that's based on a B. So a B of a 6, actually of a 6. That's going to be back 5 yards. So that's going to send Green Bay back to the 40. Which will mean it's now 3rd and 15 for Green Bay at the Chicago 40. Not a great play at all. So now we'll roll the dice again. 33 is a possible penalty. A 3 is going to be a penalty against the offense. That'll be a penalty against Green Bay. The penalty is based on a D20 roll. Yes, a D20 roll. So this is an offensive penalty. A 1 is a false start against the offense. So that'll push them back. So that'll push them back another 5 yards. Which means now it's 3rd and 20. Green Bay is now at the Chicago 45. Which is not a good situation for them to be in against this Chicago defense. 11's another penalty, and a 9's another penalty on Green Bay. Let's see what they're caught for this time. 18. Ooh, that's a clipping penalty. So that's a clipping penalty on Green Bay for 2d6. That's another 6 yards. Yep, minus 6 yards. Okay, so Green Bay actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is now back to the Chicago, now back to their 49. So this is now 3rd and 26. 3rd and basically forever, let's be honest. So we'll try the play roll again. Oop. Throw the D20 through. There won't be a penalty this time, at least. All right, that's a 1. So Green Bay is trying for a run to Clark. That's a give-up play, being at 3rd and basically forever. So a 4 for Green Bay on run offense is 1 star. 6 for Chicago on run defense is also 1 star, so we'll have a stalemate coming out of that. Stalemate, I believe, comes off of Green Bay's card. Actually, there's a stalemate chart for that. The run rating for Clark is an H, and the play is a 0, so that'll be 3 yards. So 1, 2, 3. Green Bay gets back into Chicago territory, but now they're going to have to punt it away. 4th and 23. Green Bay, Chicago, 48. As I mentioned, they are going to have to punt the ball away. So now we'll see what Green Bay is able to do with their first punt of the day. Green Bay is a C on punt. All right, no penalty there, so a 5 for Green Bay punting. 5 for Green Bay on a, what did we say, C punt, is a 42-yard punt. So that's going to send Chicago back to their 6. And then they got a 1 on a punt return C. So a 1 on punt return C. That's going to get fair caught at the 6. So now we have the first drive. So Chicago is now starting their first drive at the 6. But we need to check to see if they get a drive out of this. They're a drive offensive of 10 minus Green Bay's drive defense of a 7. So Chicago's a 3, which means they'll have a lot more likelihood to actually get a drive going out of this. A 0 to 27, they'll have to punt it away, though. That is an 81. So an 81 here is actually a potential for a big play. Now I got to double check how big plays work when they come off the... Actually, wait a second. Is there something on the card that explains big plays? Of course there isn't, because that would make life too easy. So I've got to double check in the rules, because I know there's something in here that explains how the big play works. Especially when it's coming off the... Reference the D20 on the 3rd down 3 to 5. So that's a 13. Looks like the big play is a pass for Peyton. And then roll in the appropriate big play chart. So the big play here looks like that's a pass play to Peyton. So we're going to roll a black D10 on G. That's a 4 on G. That's a 29-yard big play, which will bring 10, 29. That'll bring them out to the 35. But because they didn't cross midfield, I believe we have to roll again if they didn't cross midfield. You have to roll a second simulated drive using the 3650 for the play in the yards if it's successful. All right, so we're rolling a second simulated drive for Chicago since they're on the 35 now. So we're rolling on the 21 to 35. Actually, yeah, it looks like using the. We actually are going to use the 21 to 35 since that's where the drive is starting for Chicago. All right, this time it's an 80, which is another big play. The 13 is going to be another pass to Peyton. No, yeah, it's going to be another pass to Peyton. An 8 on G. Actually, since we used the D10, we're going to re-roll that. So that's a 4 on column G for a big pass play. So G4 is another 29 yards. So 10, 29. And now Chicago's crossed midfield. So they're at, so now a 6 on a drive defense of 7 is giving them 1st and 10 at the Green Bay. So that's giving Chicago 1st and 10 at the Green Bay, what is that, 35. All right, let me find my dice cup. It's over here. We'll see what Chicago's able to do with 1st and 10 at the Green Bay 35. All right, that is a penalty, but the 14 is not in range for either team, so we ignore that. All right, so we'll re-roll the D20 since we used that for a penalty check. 9 on 1st and 10 is going to be a run to Peyton. A 6 on run offense is 1 star for Chicago on trench control. 6 is 0 for Green Bay, so Chicago wins trench control. 2 on, oh, I was looking at the wrong column for Peyton. I was looking at his rush column. I should have been looking at M. We won't go back and rewind that, though. That's a G that we're looking at for Peyton. On the pass, the offense wins trench control, and the roll is a 2. That'll be 3 yards for Peyton. So 1, 2, 3, which means now we're looking at 2nd and 7 for Chicago from the Green Bay 32. Rolling another play. Let's see what we get here. No penalty there. 10 on 2nd down is going to be a run play to Thomas. Let's see. 4 on a run is 2 stars for Chicago on run offense. 6 is 0 stars for Green Bay on trench control for Green Bay. So Chicago wins trench control again with a 1 on column I for offense winning trench control. 1 is another 1 yard. So run was going to be established to Thomas. So that's 1 yard. Actually, that was from the 33. No, that should have been from the 32. Now we're on the 31. We were on the 36, it looks like. So 33. 1 is now to the 32. Now that I can do math. So now Chicago is looking at a 3rd and 6. From the Green Bay 32 now. We'll roll another play on 3rd and 6. Okay, 2 and 4 is no penalty. 10 on 3rd and 6 is going to be a pass to Moorhead, but Green Bay is expecting a pass. So on pass, 2 stars for Chicago on trench control. Pass defense for Green Bay is 1 star. So Chicago wins trench control. Let me just make a note here. Pass, and the 10 was going for Moorhead. Right, his pass is a J, but that's going to be a K because Green Bay is actually that's going to be a. That's actually going to be a. I believe we go down a column if if the defense is expecting it. So let me just double check that. But there's something on here about that. I know there is. Add 1 to the offense trench control as the defense was expecting it. So a 3 is still plenty for Chicago to win trench control. That's what that means. Okay, now that I've got that figured out. So now a 3 for column. So now a 3 on column J with the offense winning trench control. That's a 14-yard pass. That's enough for Chicago. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That'll be enough to give Chicago the first down at the Green Bay 18. So a fresh set of downs. We should be able to roll this last play, but then I'll need to take a small break after that. Let's see what happens here. No penalty on the double D6. 2 on, so the play call is a run to Peyton. That'll be 2 stars on. Let me just finish making notes here. 2 is 2 stars for Chicago on run offense. A 3 is 1 star on run defense. So Chicago wins trench control. Peyton is a G running the ball with an 8. G running an 8. That's going to be good for 5 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5, bringing us to 2nd and 5. Chicago at the Green Bay 13. Before we roll this next play up, I need to take a small break. 2nd and 5 for Chicago from the Green Bay 13 after a 5-yard run by Peyton. No penalty on the die roll. 19 on 2nd down is going to be a pass to Reitman. I'm mostly using these play logs so I don't lose track of anything. 3 on a pass is going to be 2 stars on trench control. 5 on pass defense for Green Bay is no stars, so Chicago wins trench control with an 8 on column F. 8 on column F with the offense winning trench control, 20 yards. That's going to be in for the touchdown. Chicago will draw first blood on this one. So they're up 6-0 pending the extra point. As Soldier Field goes crazy at the first touchdown of the game. So now we'll kick the point after. We'll try to kick the point after for Chicago. They make it on a 97, on a 0 to 97, assuming no penalty. .44 is a possible penalty, but no penalties on either side because of the 17. The 30, the extra point's up and good. The Chicago Bears draw first blood on a 13-yard pass to Reitman, and it's now 7-0 Chicago. As Soldier Field is continuing to go crazy with this one. And that'll bring Chicago back to their 30, where they'll kick it off once again. As I drop dice. Always fun. Chicago, once again, is a C on kickoff. But first we check for penalties. No penalties there, so a 6 on column C. 6 on column C for kickoff. That's going to go all the way back to Green Bay's goal line. Green Bay has a 3 on kick return C. 3 on kick return C. That's going to be a 24-yard return. So what did I do with my pen? I just had it. Oh, here it is. All right, so that's so 1 kickoff Chicago. That's a goal line, 24-yard return. So now Green Bay is about to have another drive check. Let's see what they're able to do with their second drive of the first quarter. So Chicago is a 3 on their drive check. Green Bay is a -4. All right, that is a 23. That can't be good. Nope, Green Bay will have to punt that one away. All right, so Green Bay makes it to, so punt kick, 4 plays for 12 yards. So Green Bay not able to do anything with their second drive against the feared Chicago defense. Green Bay will have to punt the ball away. So Green Bay is a C on punt. No penalty there. So which means I don't need the 2d6 or the d20. Green Bay is a 3 on punt. Green Bay is a 3 with a punt of C. 3 punt C. That's going to be a 40-yard punt. What did we say? C3. 40-yard punt. So 10, 20, 30, 40. Chicago receives it at the 24. They're an they're a C on punt return, so a 0. A 0 on punt return, that's a big play. And I believe we read that. Okay, so on the punt return. All right, Chicago has a big play on... Where's their special teams big plays? Does it even say on here? Oh, it's based on their column. So they're a C on punt return, so we'll re-roll the white D10 for that. That's a 9. Who's the punt returner? We'll call it... We'll say Peyton's the punt returner because why not? Peyton gets that at the 24. He catches he starts to turn upfield with it. He catches a block. He gets another one. He's going. He crosses midfield. Over to the 40. He's got to beat the punter. He gets past the punter to the 30. 35, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Chicago. No flags on the play. Walter Payton takes that all the way back as Soldier Field erupts in a barrage. As Soldier Field goes absolutely berserk. As Walter Payton, he's probably not the actual punt returner, but that's who I'm going with for this game. Walter Payton takes that back 76 yards as Chicago scores on a punt return. Soldier Field is going absolutely berserk as the Bears are celebrating in the end zone. Eventually we'll get the extra point team out to see if the Bears can add the point after touchdown. No penalty at 15, and they add the extra point. So Chicago, with a punt return, takes a 14-0 lead takes a 14-0 lead. I don't think that counts as a... That doesn't seem like it would count as a possession. I don't think it would. I'm looking at that. I'm gonna play it like it doesn't count as a possession because Chicago technically didn't get the ball on that one. I don't know how it might cause problems on the possession balance later in the game, but yeah, Chicago just got a big punt return for a touchdown. I'm just checking that, but it sure seems like... Yeah, I don't know how we'd handle that, because technically Chicago didn't get their offense on the field. Well, I think for now... And we did add the extra point. So Chicago now up 14-0. I'll have to figure out how I want to handle the punt return problem. But for now, Chicago still has basically a possession under their belt. So now Chicago is kicking it right back to Green Bay. No penalty there. Chicago on kickoff is a C6. C6, they'll boom it right back to the goal line. Right, so that's going to boom back to the goal line. Green Bay is a 6 on kickoff return C. That'll be a 25-yard return for Green Bay as they take it at their own 25. So now we have another drive check for Green Bay. So now they have 7 drives left for the game. We'll see how they do with this. Hopefully they're not going to have to punt it right back, because that would be really bad right now, especially after Peyton already took one the distance. A 0-0, I believe. Oh no, that's actually going to be another punt. So they are going to have to punt it right back to Chicago again. Let's see, the 19 on a punt is going to be 5 plays for 14 yards. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They're punting from the 39. So Green Bay having yet another punt. Green Bay is a C on punting. All right, no penalty there. So I don't need the 2D6 or the 2D20. 0 on punt for Green Bay. That's a 50-yard punt. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So Peyton will take that at the 11. That'll be a 3 this time on punt return C. Punt return C, that's going to get fair caught at the 11. So Chicago will now have the final drive, potentially, of the first quarter. But what a first quarter it was for Chicago. Soldier Field is absolutely electric right now. Still coming off that punt return for a touchdown by Walter Payton. So let's see if Chicago can get a drive out of this. They are a 3, so a 28-76 will be a drive for Chicago. That is a 77, which I believe is still, yep, that's just barely. Actually, a 77 is another big play. So a 7 is going to be a big run play by Peyton. All right, his rating is a big play rushing chart. He's a G. That's a 7. So G7. Oh boy, 2D20 plus 15. Wait, D20 plus 20. So Peyton's going to break a big run for 29 yards. So 10-29. Which means they've got to do another drive check, because they didn't cross midfield with that one. Peyton having a huge day today. All right, that's an 81. That'll probably be another. Yep, that'll be another big play. It's going to be another run play by Peyton. Wow. So big run play for Peyton. He's a G with an 8. G with an 8. Oh boy, a D20 plus 40 this time. So Peyton's going to break this one. Right, D20. Wow, Peyton having a huge day. He's going to rip a 45-yard run out of that one, and he's going to be taken down 10, 20, 30, 40, 5. He's going to be taken down at the Green Bay 15. So now that we've resolved that play, we'll need the D20 again for this. We don't need the D20 there. The 2D6 is a 3. Green Bay's drive defense is a 7. It'll be 3rd and 9, though, for Chicago from the It'll be 3rd and 9 for Chicago from the Green Bay 15. So Chicago having a great drive off 2 monster runs by Walter Payton. Let's see what happens here. So it's 3rd down. Okay, no penalty there. So the 8 is going to turn into 3rd and 6 plus. So an 8 is going to be a pass to Payton, but Green Bay is expecting it. Green Bay is expecting the pass. So we add 1 to Chicago's trench control result, which is still going to give them 2 stars on trench control. A 5 is going to be no stars for Green Bay. So Chicago will win trench control on that. Their role is a completion. So the pass will get completed to Payton. His reception is an M, the 9, so M9 on the pass chart. M9 on the pass chart. Uh-oh, that's a big play. That's a big play on the pass play. So now we re-roll the D10. So M, that's an M0 for 15 yards, and Payton's going to is going to take the screen pass all the way in for the touchdown. As the fans in Chicago so far have a lot to cheer about today, the fans at Soldier Field are going absolutely bonkers, as the Bears are going to get another touchdown to close out the second quarter. Kicker's on to try to add the point after. No penalty there. The 63. The extra point's up and good. So Chicago is having their way with Green Bay tonight. And there's the gun to sound the end of the first quarter. After 1, it is already 21-0 Chicago, as the Bears are very much having their way with the Packers in this one. So with that, let's move into the second quarter. The fans in Chicago are absolutely buzzing tonight as the Bears have a 21-0 lead on Green Bay. So let's see what happens when the Bears kick off to start the second quarter. No penalty there, so we can ignore that. Chicago's a C6, which will get taken right down to the goal line again. Green Bay is a C5 on kick return. That'll be a 31-yard return, so that's the best field position that Green Bay started with all night. They'll have another drive, potentially. They got to cash in one of their drive chips for that, though. But a -3 is not a good sign for Green Bay's getting a drive out of this. Make that second quarter. And to my lack of surprise, Green Bay is going nowhere with that one. So that will be a 0-2 is going to be a punt. The 8 says they're going 4 plays, 14 yards, and they're going to have to punt again. So 14 is going to be punting from their 45. Not a great situation for Green Bay to be in at all. They're down 21-0 and they're having to punt again. Chicago is just being a nightmare for Green Bay tonight. No penalty on the punt. Green Bay is a C on a punt, 9. That's a 40-yard punt and blocked. I've never had a blocked punt, so I got to see how this works. So it probably goes 40 yards, but the punt is... That would make sense for a punt to be blocked. Well, it would make sense for a punt to be blocked, but... Of course, it's not giving me much to work with here. Yeah, this isn't telling me much. So presumably it's going to go 40 yards after being blocked. So 10, 20, 30, 40. Then a 4 for Chicago on punt return C. There's going to be a 4-yard return, so Chicago won't get much out of that. Right, which means we got a drive check for Chicago. So they're turning in one of their drive markers. We'll see if they get a drive out of this. That's a 75. I'm pretty sure that will be a drive. Okay, so the D20 says 14, which means from the 0 to 20, 14 will be 6 plays, 42 yards. 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2. So they'll be taking over at the Green Bay 49 on a total of a 6 against drive defense 7? Yes. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Chicago from the Green Bay 39. Which means Chicago gets their first possession of the second quarter. Okay, no penalty to speak of there. The 19 is going to be a pass to Galt. All right, 6 on pass offense is no stars for Chicago on trench control. 5 on pass defense is no stars on trench control, so we have a stalemate, which means now we go to the black die. So 0 to 5 will be a completed pass. So that'll be completed to, who did we say that was going to? Galt. Wait. Yeah, Galt. D on the white die of a 7, so D7 on a stalemate is still going to be good for 18 yards and a Chicago first down. So 18 yards and a Chicago first down. Which means now they're at the Green Bay 27. And Chicago marching down the field yet again. We'll pull the dice through. No penalty roll there. It looks like that's going to be another pass to Galt. Right? 19 on first down. Yep. That's another pass to Galt. 2 on pass offense is 2 stars. 5 on pass defense is no stars, so Chicago wins trench control on a D9. D9 on trench control. That's a big play. So we can actually use the 9 for that. So big play pass. That's a D9. And he's going to take that all the way in from 27 yards out for the touchdown. As Soldier Field going nuts yet again. And just like that, it is 27-0 Chicago. Chicago is absolutely having their way with Green Bay tonight. Chicago on to try to add the point after. There is a penalty. The 13 isn't in range for either team, though, so we disregard that. The 41 means the extra point's up and good. So Chicago is just pouring it on at this point. 28-0. 28-0 on their first possession. Chicago, I think, scored on every possession they've had, and they've even had a punt return for a touchdown. Chicago is just dominating this game. And now they're kicking off to Green Bay again. All right, no penalty there. I'm going to make a note here for the kickoff. All right, Chicago's a C5. Is going to go to the goal line again. And then Green Bay on kickoff return is a C3. It's going to be a 24-yard return. So they're going to end up out at their own 24. Which means we now got a drive check for Green Bay. I'm going to figure out how I got to figure out how I want to do this, and soon, but this is going to be Green Bay's last drive of the first half. I think just to bring it to even. So Green Bay at a -3. 41 is actually going to be enough for them to get a drive going, surprisingly. It's going to be their first real drive all game. So it is a drive. The 20, they're starting from the 21 to 35. So 38 plus. So that's an automatic first down for them. So 10, 20, 38. All right, so that means it will be 1st and 10, and we'll get our first look at the Green Bay offense all game. So Green Bay is at the Chicago 38. We get our first look at both the Green Bay offense and the feared Chicago defense. As I put the die. Okay. No penalty there. The 18 is on first down is going to be a pass to Ivory. Right, on pass we've got pass offense 1 star for Green Bay, pass defense 1 star for Chicago, so we're going to have a stalemate there. An 8 on passing on a stalemate is going to be incomplete. So 2nd and 10 for Green Bay, everything the same. Stop dropping dice, Phoenix. 2nd and 10 for Chicago, or for Green Bay from the Chicago 38. All right, the 8, actually no penalty there. The 8 is going to be on 2nd down a run to Ellis. 6 on run offense is no stars for Green Bay. A 1 is 2 stars on run defense. To the shock of not yours truly, Chicago wins run defense on that one. Their roll is a 9. I tend to use the black die for the offensive team, the white die for the defensive team. So the white die on run defense, that's going to get stuffed. I believe there's a separate, there's a stuff chart here. So Chicago's run, their stuff rating of a B. So a 5 for them. Ooh, that's going to be 3 yards and a possible fumble, I think is what that is. Right? If it's in red like that, I believe it's a possible fumble. Yes. All right, so the offensive fumble rating by the number on the defensive rating. So Chicago's defense is a 0, which means on a 1 to 8, Green Bay, would they keep the fumble or would they lose it if the roll is in that range? I believe they would lose it. But let's find out. Yeah, that's not trench control adjustments. Looks like since that's an 8, it looks like Green Bay will lose that fumble. So it went. So backed up 5 yards, and then Chicago recovered the fumble. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -5, lost fumble, and Chicago gets it. I suppose that's the way we're going to end up resolving the possession difference between Green Bay and Chicago. So Chicago getting their next drive check of the quarter. Green Bay cannot catch a break on this one. Let's see what Chicago is able to do on their drive check. Let's see, at 27. Chicago will have to punt that one away. All right, the 8 from the 20 says they're going 4 plays, 14 yards. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. How far away could they try to kick from? 46? No, they're not going to try to kick from here. So 4-14. Chicago will have to punt. Let's see what they do with the punt. There is a possible penalty on the play, but it's out of range for both teams. So Chicago is a punt B on a 9. B9, that's going to go 43 yards, which is just enough for a touchback. All right, that's going to go 43 yards. We'll pretend Green Bay went 3 and out or something, so Chicago gets their last drive. Actually, no. We're going to need some way to resolve that. So, we're going to need some way to get that straight. Problem is, I don't know how we do that, especially if we're trading possessions. Unless that punt return counts as a possession. That's the only thing. That's the only way I can make that make sense. So we're going to pretend that was the last drive of the first half. That's the only way I can make that make sense, because otherwise, if it doesn't count as a possession, then it's going to get too confusing. So after one half of play, it's going to be Chicago 28, Green Bay nothing. And I think that's what I'm going to call this game. I was hoping it would be a little bit quicker playing than that. Some of it's still me learning the rules, but it still seems a little bit longer than I think I would like. So that will do it for this playthrough of Glory Days Pro Football. Saturday could be a double upload, but I haven't decided yet. For sure on Saturday, we'll be continuing Mystical Munchies out of the Dungeon Meister cookbook with the side, Marshmallow Golems, which looks to be sweet potato casserole bites. As I've mentioned, I'm also working on a replay of the 1991 season in Payoff Pitch Baseball, so I may put a schedule block up for that, but I haven't decided about that yet. Sunday, we're continuing the spring campaign in Arkham Horror, the card game, with the first scenario for the Waking Investigators as they face a waking nightmare. As for next week, we'll be featuring game number 3 on my TAC-UP Wargaming list as we play Mag 23, Guadalcanal. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.